Good morning, Dopey. Your favorite podcast, now able to show. Good morning, Dopey.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Dopey Top 5, or possibly Behind the Dope. We don't know what this is called. Maybe it's just called Dopey, a YouTube adventure. My name is Dave, and welcome to the show. And I'm excited because we have an old-time friend of the show, as well as the head of the Dopey sales department. Sometimes he goes by DJ. I always call him Don because he reminds me of Don Draper. Here he is, Don. Welcome back. How are you?
What's up, Dave? What's up, Dopey Nation? I'm good. Good to be here.
And I say you are a Dopey legend because you are a Dopey legend. Don came, if you're an old school Dopey fan, Don came to my apartment on Grand Street while Chris was still alive and Don was still on methadone, and told a fucked up crazy story, and he's been a Dopey legend ever since. And he was one of the early recipients of the Toodles for Chris rehab scholarships, the big one, the Aloe 9-monther, and he's a shining example of Dopey recovery, and I'm glad he's my friend and he sells Dopey ads, and welcome again. That's my long intro. That's my long, sincere intro.
Man, you're the king of intros, as we all know from the show. You're the king of intros. That's a great intro. And yeah, I was willing to go to sunny Southern California, and it definitely changed my life. And in March I'll have 2 years thanks to Dopey, and thanks to AA and this new way of life. So it's pretty exciting because I lived like 13, almost 14 years on the other side of it, and have a lot of Dopey stories to tell from it, which are funny, but it wasn't always fun or funny to live.
Right. And just in general, like the show, the show was always like making fun of the dumbest shit we had ever done. Did that come naturally to you, or like, because obviously there was a lot of misery in my life too, but even when I was living miserably, I could tell the story to somebody else that had been through it and known it was funny between us. You know what I mean? Was that the way you saw it, or were there some things that you were just like, I can't tell this fucking story?
No, I think there really wasn't anything that was off limits. It was pretty much like everything I was able to see comically, because you go to rehab and you learn that's like, you learn about war stories, and you go out on the smoke patio and everyone's telling theirs, and it just becomes like a storytelling sort of thing that you do, and you learn that there's no shame in it. If you haven't been to rehab, or if you're not an addict, it may seem odd,
Right.
definitely if you're not an addict, but also if you haven't been to rehab, it may even seem unusual. But no, but I think it's a great outlet. And I think it's awesome that it's morphed into Dopey. It couldn't be war stories, so it became Dopey.
Absolutely. And like, I was laughing like how Dopey YouTube has just become me reading the daily reflections, or me and Howie eating Ben and Jerry's. And it's like, there's no Dopey stories. So we're like, we're got to put Dopey stories back into Dopey YouTube. And I figured you were the great first entry point. So you got a good Dopey story for the world of YouTube?
Yeah, sure. I've got a funny one. So back in 2009, I was living in Ann Arbor, Michigan, right off the University of Michigan campus, working in a restaurant in downtown Ann Arbor, sort of in the main downtown area, at this French restaurant, and I had a habit. I recently relapsed, fairly recently, and had gotten a habit again. And what I would do is a heroin habit. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a heroin habit. Yep. At that time, I'd been shooting heroin for probably not even that long, probably like 3 years maybe. So it was still new, and I was still like getting high, you know. Um, and so I was all about it. I mean, I was kind of always all about it, but I was like really all about it then. So what I would do is I would get to work, and I would like do my side work and stuff, and I would start taking tables, and then as soon as I got enough cash together, I would call up my dude, and he wouldn't come and meet me at the restaurant. He was too shaded out because of where it was located. The closest he would come was this gas station that was like 2 blocks away, like literally like two city blocks away. And so I would call him, once I had the money. It was $45 is what I had to have for a um, half of a half gram, or if I had particularly, um, or it wasn't even particularly good tip because it was just the table in general. I just needed $45. It didn't have to be a tip. It was just money total, because then I would figure it out at the end, with the tips and stuff. So once I just had cash in hand, I could call him. So I would call him up. He would come and meet me. So one night it is,
Wait,
I'm
hold
like
up.
particular.
Would you call him in the middle of the shift as soon as you got $45 and run out while in service? That's what you were doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so break it down.
So I happened to be working with my junkie roommate at the time, one of my three other heroin addicted housemates who had all been sober with me at like a few months prior in the sober house, and now we were all using, but all like keeping it secret from one another also, except for him and I. Like him and I, well, actually, him and I, no, we weren't all keeping it secret. We just weren't speaking about it to one another. It was one of those weird, like, I'm doing it, I know you're doing it, but we're not going to say anything about it, sort of thing,
Right.
which was so bizarre. Um, and so when I would go, like he would cover for me, or I would cover for him, sort of thing. And so it wasn't like totally off the chain where we would just like totally leave our tables. But this night, it was a Saturday night. It was busy, and there had been a football game earlier that day. And when there were football games, it got crazy because there were, 100,000 people like in the city of Ann Arbor for the game, or at the stadium at least. So there were that many people around, and so it just got crazy. And so I go to I get the money, I call him up, and the previous time that I had met him, I wasn't there on time, and he had to wait for me for like 2 minutes. Like God forbid he has to wait, like literally 2 minutes. And so I was like, because he's like, next time this happens, I'm leaving, and that would have been like my worst nightmare, right?
Yes.
For him to leave, I would have been fucked.
Yes.
I would have been totally fucked. So I call him up, and I like want to make sure to get there like early enough. So basically, I call him and I tell my buddy, I'm like, listen, watch the tables. And at that time, I think I had three tables, and like one had just sat, two of them were like eating or whatever, and he was busy at the time too. So he's like, dude, he's like, it's like hurry up, and so I like run out and run. There was like this alley that went behind straight to the gas station, and and um and one of my tables happened to be waiting on someone to get there. They weren't ready. They'd ordered drinks, but they weren't ready to order food because they were still waiting for somebody. And so I go to the gas station, and of course he's like, he's late. He's late, and it's like 5 minutes, and then it's like 10 minutes, and so finally he shows up. It took him 12 minutes. So I've been gone now for like 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and now
Tables.
with tables and um and and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, um, if I go back there, there's no way that I can like be able to duck into the bathroom real quick and do this. I have to do it. I have to do it now, so because there was a public bathroom there. So I
Oh
was like, I'm just gonna
God.
do my shit now and be good. And so I go and I duck into the bathroom and I'm doing my stuff and I'd been so excited that I had failed to lock the bathroom behind me, which I had made that mistake before in various places and it didn't end up well.
And you were
But I failed
shooting
to lock the
dope. You're
bathroom.
shooting dope in the bathroom, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you don't lock the door. You've got tables waiting for you in the restaurant. The dealer was 10 minutes later, so it's 15 minutes later. You're in the public bathroom getting your shit together. The door is unlocked. The people are like, "Where's my fucking waiter?" And what happens?
Yes. And then somebody opens the door and sees me like literally hitting myself and is just like flabbergasted, like doesn't even know what to do, and it's just like, oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me, and then shuts the door. And it's like not that big of a deal. Like something like that has happened before. I'm like super embarrassed, but I'm kind of like I'm getting high.
Whatever.
It's whatever. Like no big deal. And so when I leave, um, I like finish up. I go really quick, and when I leave, they are still waiting to use the bathroom. So I have to walk by them, and there's like this weird energy
Yeah.
exchange, and they kind of look at me like you dirtbag sort of thing. So I run back to the restaurant. In all, it's been like almost like 22 minutes or something total
Yes.
is what I timed it to be because I put my stopwatch on my phone just to time the trip. And my friend is like, he's like, they have the term in the weeds in the restaurant business, and he's in the weeds hardcore, and there's people that are pissed, and
He's so in
he's
the
like,
weeds,
dude.
he's shooting them.
Yeah,
Anyway, please
yeah,
continue.
yeah. He's losing his shit. He's freaking out because like um, I had gotten some for him too because he's like a little bit sick as well. So he's like anxious for me to get back for that reason also. So I go and I'm like get back into my groove of my tables, and as I'm like doing my thing, I like notice that someone's walking in, and who is it but the person that had walked into me in the bathroom was the guest that they
They
were
were waiting
waiting
for.
on at the
Yeah.
fucking table,
Yeah.
and I had to wait on them for fucking dinner service, and it was so incredibly awkward, but I was just high and just like didn't. It still was awkward, but I was high and it was awkward, so it wasn't as bad.
That's such a good
But it was.
story. So good. As a waiter and a heroin addict who's run out in the middle of service to like retrieve drugs. I never shot up during service while people were waiting for me. I might like sniff a little bit just to be okay. I would like it's too much pressure to me to do that. But I
Yeah.
love that it was the guy. Now we have Howie here, and Howie's never like smoked a joint. He's never had a drink, but he's been to restaurants before. So Howie, what's your takeaway of this story?
Where do I begin? Well, first of all, it would have been great to have been the guy to find him in the bathroom and then sit down for service
Yes.
and been like, huh.
What
all
would
right,
you
this
say?
is-
I hope you
I
washed
don't
his
know
hands.
what I would have said. That's an interesting question.
You wouldn't have said anything, but you would have been like, holy shit, the waiter's the scumbag I just saw in the bathroom shooting up.
I
It's
don't know
funny.
that I would have. I don't know that it would. As long as I get the food, I don't know that I would have cared.
It's
I mean, I
like,
would have been sad.
if it was like a Quentin Tarantino movie, it's like, who was that guy? What was that guy's story? You know what I mean? Like, what was his backstory that connects somehow to dope or junkies, or I don't know. There's something there. Anyway, Howie, what else you get from this story? Because I like the normie response.
The Nori response,
Yeah.
I definitely find it very entertaining and funny. But, you know, my perspective on the whole thing is just the sadness of it.
Don't
Like
be
it's fun to hear the story, but it's sort of depressing.
The funniest thing to me, okay, as an addict and a waiter, and the detail of the stopwatch is that you think you can breeze out of the restaurant, get to the gas station, get the dope, shoot up, and get back and be like, oh, so what did you want for your order? Like nothing had happened. Like you could time that shit perfectly.
Right.
And like you can only time it perfectly once out of like 40 times. One time out of 40 times you can fucking do it perfect. But that's a beautiful story. Thank you, Don. You did not
love that.
disappoint. Please, Dopey Nation, whoever's watching, leave comments, like, subscribe, join us in Dopey Nation, in the Doposphere. Listen to the show. Anything else I should tell them?
You said like and subscribe?
I said it.
All right. I think that's it.
Thank you, Don. That was an awesome story.
Yes.
I love that.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris.
Toodles for Chris.
All right. So play the outro music. What are you doing?
Oh.
Dopey, I'm face down on the floor. Dopey,